Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit dark, so you have been warned. We're talking about the most effective, terrifying torture scene in all of Star Wars and why that is in this week's episode of Andor Season 1, Episode 9, Nobody's Listening. We're going to be talking about the spoilers for that episode, so you have been warned. So let's jump into it, because Star Wars and torture have been going together since really the beginning, right? Episode 4, we see A New Hope. Darth Vader is torturing Leia with the Mind Probe. Then we go to episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and we see Han being tortured by Darth Vader for no apparent reason. There has been a trap set by Vader to get Luke there. And then we even go into the other mediums, such as animation with the Clone Wars. We see that Anakin is taking his rage out on Poggle the Lesser. He wants the information, he's using the Force on him, and then you go into the sequel trilogy, even Kylo is doing the same thing to Rey there to get information. So this has been no stranger to Star Wars pairing up torture and the franchise. So why is this instance so much more sinister than the rest? And it's because many reasons, which we're going to dive into right now. First off is the main focal point, I will say, is the character of Dedra Meero, the Imperial Security Bureau's supervisor, played by Denise Go, absolutely kills it in this role. So up until now, I think a lot of us have strangely been rooting for this character, an Imperial character that we see has been playing sort of by the rules, trying to get up the ladder, the rungs of the ladder to get higher up into the influence of the Empire. And so far, she's been doing a great job, and we see that all from the perspective of her at her work office location. But now we're seeing her actually getting her hands dirty in Ferrix, basically trying to get the information from Bix Caleen about who the buyer is, who Cassian Andor is, because she wants to root out this fledgling rebellion. But we see what is happening, the kind of way she's going about this. She's giving Bix a sort of alternative way of getting out of this, saying, hey, you don't have to actually go with this intervention I'm going to have to supply. You can actually just give me the information, you can go, sort of thing. She's using metaphors like, pulling a fish in, and how the rest of the Empire is basically lazy and not trying to do things the right way. So we're already getting those motivations from the character of Dedra. We're seeing how calm and collective she is. She's not raising her voice. She's pacing. She's leaning over, having this very powerful presence without having to actually assert herself physically or screaming at her. And it really just feels like she's smiling for the first time. Like, she's really enjoying this, which is very kind of scary when somebody is like in the midst of this sort of situation and they're smiling and they're talking calmly. Like, this is a force to be reckoned with, and just the overall amount of time we're spending here. So we're having 3 separate scenes, and there's even a preamble scene, because when we see Bix that is ushered into this location in episode 8, we see that she finds her friend Salden Pack that was already tortured there. So we already have the preconceived notions of what Bix is feeling like to Terra, because she's already seen what could happen to her previously. So then we come back to this character, this character named this doctor, and he is enjoying this too much himself. He's treating this like he's a doctor of like, trying to help somebody, like very cheery, just, oh, we'll get through this and all this sort of thing. But then he explains about the moon called Dizon Frey in the Outer Rim and the massacre of these Dizonites. And this whole explanation, this origin of this torture device he's explaining, is not going to be physical, because what happens is the Dizonites were massacred, and the Imperials were recording the deaths of these people, including the children. And while these officers were playing back this, it affected their brains, and they started cowering underneath of the bridge control system. So it shows the origin of how these different kind of listening, the repeat listening even of this, as the character of Dedra says, the repeat listening of these screams that the headphones you put on will cause, irrevocable damage, irreparable damage, emotional pain, not physical. So this idea of this buildup, of this, how disturbing it is with this whole thing, it's very curious, and we're not even sure what is happening until you put the headphones on Bix, and she just loses and screams this blood-curdling scream, and you see it on her face, and it is just terrifying. And then you see the aftermath of it, and about how basically Denise Go's character of Dedra gets the information she wants, but she says basically, keep this headset nearby to the doctor because we might need it later. That risk, that terror that this could come back again. So just the emotional damage. And what I like about this is there's so many times in Star Wars where I think basically almost all the torture scenes involve like a physical manifestation of just trauma, whereas in this case, it's all emotional trauma, and you don't need to see gore. You don't need to see somebody getting hit repeatedly or something being injected into them. It's just emotional kind of trauma from these screams inside people's heads when they put the headphones on. That is absolutely terrifying. But we're seeing the before, we're seeing the during, and we're seeing the after, which is, I believe, something we haven't really seen before. And just the effectiveness of how defeated Bix looks. The actress that plays Bix, Adria Arjona, does an incredible job with acting alongside Denise Go. And of course, Joshua James, that is playing the doctor that's putting this into the play, is just as sinister as all the rest of them, because they are deranged. These Imperials are just, they love this sort of like, oh, we're going to have power over somebody else, and this is just how the way things are. And they end up getting the information in the end. The bad guys win. Basically find out that later on in the episode, Bix did give out the information that said that, you know, Cassian was there a couple days ago, and that leaks that lends everything into Aldhani. So now everything has been found out, and unfortunately Bix tried to be as strong as she could, but she could not outlast the Empire, and we found out so much about what is going on here in this situation. But yes, I will say just the most effectiveness of this is the way that the characters look, the actors, what was the looks on their faces, the music, how it stopped as soon as the headphones went on. Great editing there, and you just kind of feel the trauma that Bix is going through, and the fact that we have all these characters having their own stories. If this was just any regular rebel sympathizer that we didn't have any information on, it wouldn't have been effective. But we know so much about Bix. We know so much about the administrator of the torture of Dedra Meero, so we are more invested in what is actually happening, and no matter what, it is still disturbing as all hell and unsettling as all hell. And that is why this is the most effective, horrible, terrifying, horrifying Star Wars torture scene. What did you think about this one? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on Andor videos, you're already in the right place. I'm talking about this show on a consistent basis because it is so good. So that's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more. That's going to do it for me here. May the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.